So, where should we begin? They're 13 years together, 10 years married, 2 years since they divorced, and 1 year since they picked up again. They can't with each other, and they can't without. And they're really stuck in the same escalating cycles. They think that they're very different, but in fact, if I look at the feedback loop, the relationship dance between the two of them, they actually do exactly the same to each other. Each one ends up overemphasizing what's missing and what's wrong, and underrepresenting what is actually really good, and all these good intentions and gestures for connections that are just completely falling, as we called it, into the gutter. I'm Esther Perel. Join me in my office for Where Should We Begin?
The phrase that is used often is, "You can't love me the way I want to be loved."
Mm-hmm.
That's the recurring thing throughout the years.
None of the voices in this series are ongoing patients of Esther Perel. Each episode of Where Should We Begin is a one-time counseling session. For the purposes of maintaining confidentiality, names and some identifiable characteristics have been removed, but their voices and their stories are real.
When a couple comes to see me, there's often one person who has reached out, and that person is either familiar with the process of a therapy session or is curious, at least open-minded about it. And the other person is often someone who is sometimes more skeptical, or that's not the world they live in. They've never been in any therapeutic process before, and they're showing up as an expression of love. I want you to know that I care about us, and that's why I'm here. It's not because I want to be here, it's because I want to be with you. And this couple, they don't know where they stand. Everything is fraught. One moment, it feels like they're in, and the next moment, everything unravels. It's a very, very shaky ground where I meet them.
I think what I'm looking for, the reason why I applied in the first place, we had, one of many fights, the latest, right? And I said, something needs to change. Either we go to therapy and we actually truly work on this, or we just stay friends, raise the kid together, and clear boundaries, we're not together, or we strictly co-parent, we're not friends. We don't talk. Those are kind of my three options. I have to tell you, I am shocked that we are here right now, because I never thought it would actually happen. He, as usual, said, "Why is it always you go too far, you do too much? Why, But I thought, the analogy I gave you, he's a car guy, was if you had the chance to meet with, a renowned car builder, wouldn't you? This is a chance and an opportunity to see things a different way, to get a different perspective. And I know I can tell you our problems from now until next, Friday.
Can I ask you something? In the midst of explaining to him why you did and why he should appreciate it, did you also tell him how much you appreciate that he's just coming along?
No.
All right. Maybe that's where we start.
Yeah, I am shocked, and I do appreciate that you actually went along with this. I'm very curious as to your motivation.
No.
So it's kind of funny you mentioned
we're going to
that.
do this differently. One moment. Is it okay?
Hmm?
Because you just did what you typically both do. In this case, it's you, could be him. You explained yourself, you justified yourself, then you told him why he should appreciate what you do. And the piece that is missing is actually just simply, I know whatever I did, and whatever you may think about it, it really means a lot that you're here.
I appreciate you actually doing this.
Yeah, you're welcome. And those are the little things that, we talk about this often.
Stay here. Not
Okay.
what happens often. It just happened.
Okay.
Stay with that.
I know I throw things at you all the time, and I'm spinning.
Mm-hmm.
And that you thought this was another spin. And I appreciate you just going with it and not saying, F you, there's no way. You're out of your mind. You're crazy. I do appreciate you just going along with my crazy for once.
Yeah. You're welcome.
And
It's okay.
my first thought, and I know this is wrong, is how am I going to
don't go there.
Okay.
If it's not gonna, if it's more of the same, if it's what you usually do, which you both actually is the one thing you steadfastly agree on, that it really doesn't work, then don't do it.
Ooh. Okay.
You need change.
How are you feeling?
It's nice that, the acknowledgement of me being here is I'm trying. I'm not trying to blame you all the time for everything. It's just, it's nice that you see that little thing that I did was actually fighting for a relationship. And that's how I show, that I love and respect you, is by doing things like that, but it just never gets noticed.
It just did.
Yeah. It did. You're
Then
absolutely
go
right.
to the never.
Yeah. I hear what you're saying, and it's nice.
And I frequently only see things through my lens. Like he didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for me to see, oh, he did.
Right.
Because he acknowledges that I'm asking for this and that
Yeah.
He said more to you. He said, I'm fighting for our relationship.
Oh, but I hear that, but my brain immediately goes to the other 300,000 things that you're not.
And that's, I think, my acts of service and my acts of showing love and respect, you don't receive because you just think that is like, I guess, like baseline, like that's like entry level, you know?
Yeah.
And
I understand.
like I guess you would call it quote unquote love language is like being wined and dined and lots of attention being spent, affection and, that kind of stuff. And I'm more of a service oriented person, fixing your faucets.
Still got to do that.
I get that. But I was raised, those were the things that were done within a relationship that show, love and respect and care for one another is when you're doing, it's just the everyday mundane things that to me show the most. I don't think to take you, on your $600 dinners and, that kind of stuff, to me, that's, that doesn't really show. Anybody can do that.
That's not a shared thing that you want to do. But
right.
going back to...
No. But...
I'm not allowed to say that. Okay.
It's not that you're not allowed to say, but you're allowed to say anything. But I'm doing the but too. When people are trapped in the back and forth between blame and defensiveness and attack, when they actually acknowledge something, what they've been asking for is actually right there. It's so difficult for us to actually stay in that moment. We instantly go to the usually, but the other times, but yesterday, but the thousands of other things I want from you that you're not doing. I think this session is a session that everybody can relate to. We've all done this and been there, some version or another. We start by creating a different quality of listening. You both say a ton of things, but you don't listen well. And listening shapes the talking. The quality of each of your listening is what shapes the quality and the kind of talking that comes back from the other side. My friend Paul Brody describes speaking is what enters into the bowl. It's the thing that you pour into a bowl, but listening is the shape of the bowl that actually defines where the water or where the words will land.
So, said in another way, he says something, how I listen to it, interpret it, understand it, internalize it is what is important there.
Essential, and vice versa.
Right.
So before we do this loop, something that I want to clarify. You are divorced.
Correct.
You were married. You were married
Yep.
We were married
for
8 years.
Mm-hmm.
You divorced.
About a year, almost 2 years ago, a year and a half.
Okay. And now?
We're,
Do you want to tell the story real quick?
what do you mean? She's just asking if we're like back together or not.
Are we?
I don't know what.
Yeah. So we're
Neither
we're-
do I.
We're together, so I...
We do not, I do not know either.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh. Okay. I thought we were like dating, trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure it out is what confuses me. I don't know what that means. So my answer would be, yes, we split up for about a year. I moved with our son about 10, 15 minutes away. We stayed very close.
Mm-hmm.
How many are you?
Right. I have 2 older, and then we have a son together. And the 2 older are now out, college and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. How old is the son that you have together?
9.
Okay, and lives with you. Okay.
Yeah. So we were, ups and downs. There was, of course, some animosity through the divorce proceedings.
Oh,
and
of course, yeah.
yeah, there was, but at the end of the day, we were working pretty well together.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have to bring it up. I started dating, I guess, last summer, and he found out about it immediately, came to me and said, you were sorry for a lot of the stuff that went on in our marriage. First time he ever said, and immediately I was like, come here, we're done. Let's try. Immediately, in hindsight, I'm not even going to go there, but there was no question, right?
On your, yeah, that, but.
You said, I'm sorry, and I
I'm
was like,
sorry.
okay.
Right, and then like we went right back into it, and that wasn't my intention. Like that was honestly my moment of letting go, and letting her move on and finding what she needs. Because in my mind, we are very different people.
What do you think it said that when you came and you took some responsibility over some of the things that you thought were yours,
Right.
that opened her heart
Yeah.
unequivocally?
Yeah.
What did that say?
I know we love each other, right? Mm-hmm. I know that 100%. I'm not fighting against, is she a bad person or is she, worthy or anything like that. Like it's nothing to do with that. It's just literally how we interact on a daily basis, which I'm not going to do that to myself again. And I did realize, like when I was apologizing to her throughout the divorce, I was never at peace with myself because of all the internal conflict within our relationship. And when I found that peace again, I realized like, oh, I did a lot of things that were spiteful, stubborn, that did not contribute to a smooth relationship. And I realized that. And that's what I was apologizing for. Things kind of just went from there. Mm-hmm. So, and then once we got back into it, I mean, I don't even think it was 30 days. And I started noticing like, we're right back in this cycle.
May I ask you?
Sure.
Stubborn, spiteful. What do you know about it? In you?
In me?
Yeah.
For a very long time, instead of trying to eradicate that from my consciousness. I relied on it to get me through a lot of hard times
In life.
in life. Yes.
Regardless of her.
Yep.
Good.
Yep.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how I was raised. I got a very sketchy background.
Give me the brief story, please.
Mother had me when she was 17. Probably I'm a product of rape, I'm pretty sure. My biological father was Vietnam. Obviously, we would call it PTSD nowadays, druggie, alcoholic, committed suicide when my sister was born. So I was 18 months old. My mom met my stepfather, who, great man, but again, blue collar, Irish, for lack of a better term, white trash, like very, dock workers, that kind of stuff. So we were raised in that environment, biker gang, Father moved us out to a small suburban town, and, we just paycheck to paycheck. He was always working. My mother kind of had her problems, with addiction and just coping with her past life, and we just grew up, kind of yelling and fighting and very loud. It just was how I was raised. Some of it was a gift. Some of it left me with bad coping mechanisms and traits and, that kind of stuff. I never went to college. I fought my way into the corporate world, did very well for myself, opened up my own business. I never would be able to do those things if I wasn't raised how I was raised, with that stubbornness, that fighting every day for, what you want. It's my past. I can't do nothing about it. It is what it is.
Except that it's not your past.
It's my
Only.
present and future too. I get it.
When you look back at the kid who was in a rather chaotic environment and who needed to have a clear sense of what the hell is going on here.
Right.
How old is he?
Ooh. 5 through 20.
But if you pick one moment.
8 or 9.
8 or 9.
8 or 9, there was a pretty big incident.
Yeah.
That happened in
Where
my
is
house.
he? Tell me what you see.
Oh, so he was, my dad came home pretty tuned up one night, and my mom always had a problem with his drinking because of her past. Alcoholism ran rampant through the family. So she was trying to deal with that, clean up, get away from that herself stage. So like my dad wouldn't even be able to have 1 or 2 beers. And when it did, it was a problem. She would dig at him, push him. And she pushed him way too far one night. And
It's okay. You just saw it.
I watched, he didn't hit her, but he definitely, threw her on the bed, and he had like a nervous breakdown. And it was just like, his voice went up like 10 octaves, sounded like a woman, just, why are you doing this to me? And da-da-da, and, and at the time, like I didn't know what to do. So I ran out of the house, and my neighbor, who kind of raised me like as a second son, he was outside. So I yelled and come running over, and he broke things up, and he took my dad out of the house. And, that was just kind of like, what the fuck moment, like what is going on here? So yeah, that was kind of like, I guess would be the start of
Fixing.
Yeah. Yep. It was rough. And my mom is a tough woman, man. Like she's she's a tough cookie. And I argue with her, and I make it a point to argue with her. Like, so to this day, we still go back and forth, and
Any resonance with the way you argue with your wife?
I'm loud. I don't scream. Like I'm not she considers it screaming. She comes from a very soft household, soft-spoken. My volume, it's not an indicator of my emotion.
But
it's just
your
it's,
9-year-old today, if he hears you yell like that or raise your voice like that,
he gets upset.
he gets upset.
Yeah, he definitely recoils a little bit. Yeah.
So when you see him, you can see you.
Me?
We can see the 9-year-old that
The
was.
9-year-old version of you.
And when you want to, you want to understand the effect you have on him,
right,
that scene will help you.
Yeah.
Because you felt it in your nervous system just now.
Yeah.
And you saw it.
Yeah.
And you were right back there. You were not just remembering, you were reliving.
Yeah. That is true.
So then tell me how the growth of these 3 responses, stubborn, defensive, spiteful. Tell me about them. How did they become so important, so necessary? And what do you think you fight for? Not what you fight about.
I just fight the fight. If I see something wrong, or if I think somebody's being slighted, I'm going to fight.
Yes, that's an easy one. But since you fight just for a separate opinion, you fight.
I fight.
You fight, and every conversation is life or death. Me or you.
Yeah.
So it's not just when you see a wrong or injustice. Every difference is turned into conflict.
No.
Okay.
No. So I honestly do value other people's opinions, and I am always in for a healthy debate. Like I am very open-minded to different thoughts and views, when things are thoughts and views and not actual problems, I guess. Like if there's a problem that needs to be solved, and I know that this is going to solve this problem, I will fight to get that problem solved.
But in your mind, it's totally obvious that that difference of opinion is something to fight over. This was a super important moment because I actually was amplifying on what he had just said. I fight the fight. But something in the way I worded it, he didn't recognize himself when I said any difference can be a source of conflict, even though it's exactly where they go right after. And he says, I disagree. And that was very important because it meant he feels safe enough, he trusts me enough that he can fight with me. Well, not really fight, but that he can disagree with me and hold his own. And that is so important.
The Philadelphia fight was a good one. That would be a great example.
It's the reason why I applied this
fight is what triggered it off.
That's nice. How did you come here? The Philadelphia
fight. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Chapter 1.
All right, chapter 1. I'm all ears.
So we were vacationing in
Don't give me the long version.
Okay, yeah. So basically we were coming back from Quebec and we were stuck in the car together for 10 hours. And we got on to, I despise sports. I hate them. So somebody said Philadelphia fans have the reputation of destroying the city, whether they win or not, over a football game. And I was like, that's trash. Like those people, that's trash to me.
Chapter 2?
Chapter 2 is her.
It was Super Bowl Sunday. I'm a huge Eagles fan. Family, we're all Eagles fans. And yes, I think it's funny. And I think it's...
Okay, chapter 3?
Yeah.
He said, people in Philadelphia are trash. I'm a higher caliber. They are gross. Even if you're not doing that, you're still condoning it by saying it's funny, blah, blah, blah. And I said, it doesn't bother me. I think Philadelphia is fantastic. Culture, the food It's a great scene. It's gritty. It's dirty. I love it.
Chapter 5?
And she definitely said that, and I did not take it like that.
Okay.
What I heard is she started, instead of looking at the generalization that I was making, she started giving me examples of why my generalization was wrong. And
which any generalization
is
I take
technically wrong, right? And she started giving me specific examples of why
I didn't agree.
And then
his voice got raised, and then I shut down.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you. Now, what happens in this argument? If I lift the hood, I know squat about cars, but I'm going to try a metaphor with you. I lift the hood, and I'm saying, what is going on here? What would you say? Why is this guy personalizing this whole thing?
So in my mind, I was voicing an opinion of myself and others. It could have been, I see what you're saying, and I don't agree with that, but it wasn't that. It was she had to try to prove my generalization wrong, which it's an opinion. It's not wrong. And then she starts trying to change my opinion. And that's where I'm like, no, like I'm not,
Okay.
That's how I took it.
But why did you take it personally?
You did too.
I did.
Yeah.
And I was telling the story to my mom, and she was like, are you out of your mind? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, just be like, cool, give him the double finger and you're done.
Which was, and it's funny she says that, because after the debacle happened, I was like, all right, let me change the subject, like we'll move on. And I tried breaking bread, extending the olive branch, and I just want to go home. At which point we sat in the car silent for 10 hours, which with the kid in the back is now making him think like, whoa, this isn't good. And then I started thinking, of course, we're riding home in silence, like, damn, here we are again, same shit from 5 years ago. Do I really want to repeat this cycle? Do I really want to get on this carousel and continue this? And then I voiced my opinion about that. And then it turns into, well, then just break up with me. Just break up. I'm like, no, that's not what I'm...
This is the pattern that I see. And tell me where I'm wrong here. Just
No. Don't set it up.
Okay.
You're setting it up for a battle before you've even said a word.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
You invite each other into a boxing ring.
We do.
We do.
You are not nearly that different as he thinks you are. You do the same, back and forth, and each one of you is making the other one do more of the exact thing that you don't want them to do.
Right.
Yes.
You are not different, and your differences are not your problem.
No.
Your differences of opinion or of tastes or of background, that is not what is problematic. What's problematic that I see now, just on a very short chapter 1, is that you escalate in no time. You personalize everything. You don't distinguish between fact or subjective opinion, experience, feelings. It's all one and the same. You live in an antagonistic, adversarial framework. And underneath that is deep feelings, deep love, deep care, deep appreciation. But boy, they don't get to see the sun very often.
Yeah.
And the two of you live like two threatened people. And your boy sits in the back of the car and watches this for 10 hours. And he is looking at you. And no matter what you decide, together or not together, lovers, not lovers, all of that, you will have to think, what do we show him?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So, because what you show him is what you watched in your version of it. Different story, but the 9-year-old is the 9-year-old.
Right.
And that 9-year-old is terrified. That 9-year-old doesn't know what to do with what's in front of him.
Yeah.
whether they are on shutdown mode and don't say a word to each other, or whether they are in explosion pounding mode.
Yeah.
Here was a moment where I made a choice, which was I could have continued in the exploration of the child that lives inside each of them. That is that threatened child that feels that they have to fight for themselves all the time. But I was also thinking about the actual child that they have, that is sitting for 10 hours in the car with his parents not uttering a single word. And I thought, I'm going to talk to the parents instead. I'm going to talk to the adults. And hopefully the adult part of them can hear me in this moment. And I'm going to rally for them and with them about engaging the more mature, responsible adult part inside of them. Even though I know that I would need to help them have a different relationship with the part of them that is that child that they once were. But I'm going to park myself temporarily in this spot. You punch at each other.
Yes. I escalate. You
And
want to come at
that's-
me? I'm going to come right back at
and
you.
that's-
And I'm going to
that's-
beat you. And we're very competitive in that way.
What's your line? Nobody's going to make me what?
Do anything. Every personality test I've ever taken for work, I have to be in control. I do not like people telling me, or I'm going to do it my way. Everything's fine. I'm going to figure out a way. I'm going to do it my way. My way's better. I can figure this out.
And what's the story behind that?
I think I've always just been an overachiever. My parents never worried about me. I'm fine. I'm going to get straight A's. I'm going to be in this program and that program. I'm going to do it, this, that, and the other. Until teenager, they split up. And I rebelled, definitely rebelled. And
How?
just boys, drugs, teenage stuff, skipping school. And then I waitressed and I hustled. I had 2 kids young and got into the industry I'm in now and just used...
Which is?
I'm in insurance sales. Corporate, very corporate environment. I have to hustle and I can do it. And it's not easy when I come to him with the complaints that I think most people have about their jobs. I don't want him to tell me. And instead of being open to his feedback, I get resentful because I don't need you to tell me how to fix. Of course I have it under control. This is me. It's under control.
I get mad.
You do.
I get very upset when you talk about your job. And I do. Because she is in the top 1% earners of the country. She makes an extremely amount of money with no college degree. She got there because of who she is. But then when she's bitching about her job and like these little menial things that piss her off, I'm just like, you are so ungrateful. You're crazy. People would kill to have your job and to be where you're at right now. Appreciate it. And that starts a fight.
That's a recurrent one. Yeah, that's a recurrent one.
That's like a huge thing. And it's just like,
It's any time
It's like-
I
it's-
have a feeling. I have a feeling. I feel scared and hurt and lonely. Your feelings aren't valid. So don't feel that way.
well, that goes back to in the beginning of the conversation where she's not recognizing my acts of service as caring, loving acts. And like I said, I'm not the most affectionate person. I'm not a PDA guy.
When she had her hand on your shoulder before, did you feel it?
I did, but like because of the position we're in right now and the amount of uncertainty, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel like she's like reaching out to comfort me or anything. I don't know how to take it. I don't know how to.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's very different. From it doesn't feel genuine is not the same as I'm afraid to believe in it. I'm afraid what it means.
Yeah,
I'm afraid to surrender to it.
You're probably
I'm afraid to actually accept it because it's what I so long for.
Yeah. And there's still, like she's very emotional, right? She is very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
So in moments of emotion like this, it's hard to decipher because she can flip and she can be very cold, right? So it's, what am I getting into? What is going on here?
Right.
So I definitely kind of recoil, and that probably actually makes me more callous because I don't know how to react or what she's looking for.
So you both hold each other on high alert all the time.
Oh, I'm so scared.
She can go from hot to cold, but you can go from supportive to callous.
Yeah.
And you wonder why this doesn't feel very safe and why it becomes so impossible to trust. Because if I accept and trust and lean into what's happening just now, God forbid what may happen in the second after that I didn't anticipate. So I'm just going to keep myself in the boxing ring.
I'm going to avoid. He runs.
I just don't want to fight.
You
all my life.
Drops a bomb and runs. Mm-hmm. And you're right into the I'm hot and cold. I will scream. I love you. This hurt my feelings. And then when I realized it's not happening, I'm not getting the reaction, he's not hearing me, I go internal. I shut it down and I'm like, well then F you. I'm not calling you back. I'm not talking to you. And it's in my head. And then I spin for days. Days. And then I'm scared.
Each of them is able to describe their behavior, what they do, what happens to them. They may not necessarily connect the dots to what is actually being activated for them, but they are very insightful and honest and able to be accountable for it. So the choice here again, I decide I'm going to emphasize the similarities. I'm going to emphasize what they do well, because they're so mired in the mud and in what's broken, and they are divorced, and they have come with one question: are we salvageable? So here's the thing I want to highlight just for a moment. You have managed to talk about your relationship, highs and lows, mine and yours, in a very collaborative way. You've managed to talk about your dance without slipping into it. And you're able to say, I know I do this and I know I do that. So this, to me, is goal number one, because it doesn't matter what you're going to do. If you don't change the filter, the gutter will get more full.
Yeah.
And you miss each other. And you're persistent. You've done this for 10 years, God. It's not like you met yesterday.
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you this. If each of you could pick one thing that you know, if you did it differently, the relationship would shift, what would it be? Let her go first on this one.
What I think would change our relationship,
That you would like
that I
to
would
focus on.
It's noticing you for you and being curious about what brought you there. What brought you to when you say a statement? Oh, where'd that come from? Oh, tell me about that. Without preparing a dissertation on why you should consider other things and why that's not technically correct. It would be literally just being curious about where you're going and appreciating what you're saying without trying to prove you wrong. Even when we have very different opinions. When you start off on a political rant, and I shouldn't even call them rants, I guess.
Yeah, it comes out as a rant. but I'm talking myself through it. Like, I might not have the conclusion in my head right then and there. When I explain those things to you, like when I say something that you take as an offense or
unloving
or something like that, I wish you could just take a step back and say, am I perceiving this wrong?
I'm struggling big time
I
right
know,
now because
know.
I think that if you were to go into the court of evidence, if you were to say, here, let me present the evidence, does this man care about this woman, and put the evidence in front, unanimously the answer is no.
Is it? Or could somebody
That's
look
my
at it,
perception.
right? Or could somebody look at it from the other lens and say, he does this, he does this, he does this, he does this, and they can point to things that I do to show that I do appreciate you and love you. And
I know that I should see what you do as love. In my brain, I'd rather you sit on the couch and with me. I'd rather be affectionate. There's so many other things. I miss you. And we haven't connected in so long.
I know.
Because you're angry that
I'm not angry. I'm not angry. Again, I just...
May I?
Yes.
Thank you. When you talk together, and look how long you do and it goes fine, but then there is that moment where one of you says one thing the other one doesn't agree with. And of the 9 things you agree with, you don't say a thing. But on the one thing that you can't see yourself reflected in, that's the one you pick up on.
Okay.
So that is going to create more distance. I don't think you did this consciously, by the way. I don't think you intended this at all.
Right.
That's why I'm highlighting it for you.
So what in my mind, what happened there was...
You wanted to reassure her that you're not mad and that she doesn't...
And then spill into the reasons why...
Yeah, that's more of the explanation. You are so mired in explaining yourself and justifying yourself and being sure it's accurate. When in fact, if you actually said, me too, I don't know if it's true, but if it's true, that you say, I too miss us and miss connecting, you would have a whole different moment.
Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Okay, shall we try it again?
Yes.
All right.
I want those things too. Like, I really do. That's why I'm here. I want us to have that. I want that spark. I want that intimacy. It's hard sometimes. It really is. Like, I'm I told you this before we came here. Like, I'm very on the defense and I don't know what's going to happen. And breaking up again would just be like going through the whole divorce again. And I don't, in my brain, I guess that thinks that if I keep a certain distance, it's not going to suck as much if we don't work out. And I also know,
nail in the coffin.
And I also know that, that is not helping the situation. So,
everything that I did to you before, with everything that I did when we were married,
it wasn't all bad.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do that either.
The reason I'm here is I want to be able, I want you to see me differently, not like I'm this needy, difficult person.
I don't necessarily think you're a needy, difficult person. I don't like the person I was perceived as in the relationship. I was always the bad guy. I don't want to go back there.
You were the bad. No, you're right. I'm agreeing with you.
Right.
I'm not saying, I'm agreeing with you. I did always demonize you.
And
I did always say, aren't I perfect?
Right.
The question I would like to ask you is, it's one thing to say nobody's going to make me, but it's another thing to ask yourself, why do I need to be perfect?
Oh.
Because fundamentally you think you're always right or misjudged. You operate from a place of, I can't make mistakes. This is why this curiosity bit is so important for you, because it puts you in a zone of not knowing for a moment, of being uncertain, of being open to the unknown, to exploring, to discovering that there's something else, rather than needing to know immediately.
It's annoying. I know. I annoy myself with it.
But that started early on.
Yeah. I mean,
So
I'm oldest daughter, so there's that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just the good one, the responsible one, the one that handles it. And even now, I'm the one who plans family vacations for our extended family and pays for it and organizes everything and makes dinner reservations and da. And then I didn't even really get a thank you for that. I get resentful. I do it at work too, that I have to be perfect. The expectation of the best is there. I feel it internally all day, every day. Like I am thinking about what I have to do next. What is the best? How can I manipulate the situation to get what I want? To get what I think is the best thing? The war in my head says, if he would just let me do it, everything would be great.
And adore you for it.
Yes, please, please, please. You know? Let me do it. And then say, thank you very much for doing that. And then be really, really loving and affectionate.
Right. And anything short of that crushes you.
Oh, I feel it. I feel it. I feel very judged and unloved and feel like I'm a failure. Yeah.
By you or by him?
By him.
Of
course. Yes.
So the phrase that is used often is, you can't love me the way I want to be loved.
Mm-hmm.
That's the recurring thing throughout the years.
When I listen to her, I'm reminded of The Drama of the Gifted Child. It's a book I read a long time ago by Alice Miller. It's the book that really introduced me to the concept of conditional love. It's not that she needs to be perfect. It's only as much as how perfect do I need to be before I can finally receive the love of my parent. That is the conditional love. I can only be loved if I'm pleasing, if I satisfy you, if I take care of you, if I do everything, and if I do it so perfect that you don't have to worry about me one split second. She said this now a few times. I do everything, nobody has to worry about me. I raised myself and I am left with the whole wondering, what does it take to be loved? And that's why she says, you can't love me the way I want to be loved. And I chose that as the title for the session. Because if we were to meet again, this is where we would go. How were you unloved? What is it that you're wanting him to make up for? What is the rage that kicks in for you every time he misses the clue and he, in a way, reinforces your worst belief about yourself, that no matter how perfect and accomplished and worthy and responsible you are, you still can't be loved the way you want to. And then you find yourself a partner who keeps telling you, I love you plenty, but I do it this way. I do it with service. I do it this way. And unbeknownst to him, every time he says, but this is my love language, he's reinforcing your belief that he really cannot love you the way that you want to. And that's one of the pain points of this relationship. So you each do things that actually make the other person respond in the way that you actually want the least.
Yes. Yes.
Right?
So I have to start from a place of appreciating what is done.
It would change a lot.
Do you think it would change a lot with how you interact with me?
Yeah, I mean, any difference is going to enact a change. I'm sure
But that
it
means
would.
that each of you needs to decide, I'm going to do this. This is back to the question I asked you before. What's one thing you would do differently? Because in effect, where you land in the gutter is that each of you feels rejected, unappreciated and rejected.
Yes.
If that's the case, you have your answer about whether you should stay together or not. On the other end, that doesn't mean that you're going to do better with somebody else, because these are skills you need to learn. And you can explain them from the past, and we can do a lot of insight, which that is what you would also do with a therapist. But ultimately, there needs to be a change in the way you respond. And that means in the way you listen. Do you ever speak with your hands? Do you reach out with your hands to
I
her?
don't touch people. Like, I'm not like that.
You don't touch at all?
I really, like, I don't really do calming, soothing,
None of
like
it.
that doesn't really work for me.
Meaning?
I don't need that. I don't need to be touched. I don't need to feel needed or wanted or, comfortable, accepted. So I guess because I don't need it, I don't give it, which I know is probably a problem. Yeah.
Does your boy need it?
What's that?
Does your little boy need it?
Yeah, he comes up to me a lot.
Right.
He comes up and he'll snuggle me. I'll snuggle him right back, But if it's not initiated, I don't.
Right. So you see him, that was once you.
Yeah.
You need it. You may have learned not to.
Probably.
You may have had hands put on you that didn't feel very clear.
Yeah. I was hit a lot.
By
Parents.
both.
Yeah. But I fully deserved it. And that's kind of where I think she thinks I'm going to go there, but I don't. I don't really have the need to.
Go where?
Like hitting kids and stuff.
I'd kill you.
Right.
And no, it makes me super uncomfortable the times you have hitting.
Yeah. It was just a spanking, like, don't do that again kind of thing. It wasn't like fit of rage or, anything like that.
It's scary though. You know it is. I know where you're coming from and I know what but when you get upset, it's scary. For him, for me. You're a very intimidating and scary person.
Yeah. And I'm like the timid one in the family. I don't do half the stuff my parents did.
That just means that they did more extreme things.
Yeah.
And that your body shut down.
I've noticed the only time he will touch me voluntarily is if we're having sex or about to have sex or you want to have sex. It's the only time.
It really doesn't dawn on me. Like it doesn't, again, because it's not, I don't need that to feel a certain way.
Listen.
I feel close.
There may be times when you're not thirsty. But you may offer someone a glass of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this notion of I don't need it, therefore I don't do it, and therefore this is it.
Oh, no. I'm not saying that at all. I do realize that I probably should do that because she needs that. Like, absolutely. But it's just not, it wasn't programmed into me to do that.
No, it was programmed out of you.
Maybe it was programmed out of me.
It was programmed out of you.
Yeah.
Whatever you see when you look at your little 9-year-old is quite similar to what you once needed and loved.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
And there's no doubt that on the moments when she's spinning and getting agitated or anxious, to hold her and not say anything would go a long way.
Yeah.
Because it would communicate in the most basic way you're not alone. I'm right here.
Right.
You don't have to hold it all on your shoulders.
I would hear that or feel that as so much more comforting than you telling me how to fix it.
It would help you tremendously, and it would change the whole cycle. But you also need to know that when you emote for him, that signals shut down.
I know. I don't know why, though.
Because that's what it was like there.
So it really has nothing to do with me being...
It's the implicit memory. It does have to do with you because you are agitated. But his response to you doesn't come from you. His response comes from how he learned to protect himself, basically. So he shuts down. At a time when you would want him to put his arms around you is when his shoulders go up, his neck goes down, his tension comes in, his breath becomes more shallow. Shut every feeling down and use intellect, which of course doesn't work on you at all. It just makes you more agitated, which is making him repeat himself for the nth time and reason again, because everything else is really holding it together.
Yeah.
And he has a 9-year-old, but so do you. And these 9-year-olds end up having a relationship with each other.
Yeah.
So the adults need to calm them down. While you're asking something that is totally legit and understandable, there's also a part of you that may want to even go to him and say, I'm all over the place, hold me. You can even ask. Or you can learn to hold you for a moment so that you can calm down one notch, which then gives his body a different message, which may allow him to then come more closer. You know, this is a circle.
Yeah.
So whichever place you do a small shift, all the other pieces will need to adjust.
Where Should We Begin with Esther Perel is produced by Magnificent Noise. We're part of the Vox Media Podcast Network, in partnership with New York Magazine and The Cut. Our production staff includes Eric Newsom, Destry Sibley, Sabrina Farhi, Kristen Muller, and Julia Natt. Original music and additional production by Paul Schneider. And the executive producers of Where Should We Begin are Esther Perel and Jesse Baker. We'd also like to thank Courtney Hamilton, Mary Alice Miller, and Jack Saul.